Welcome on back, folks, to Valorant Challengers. It is the first edition here, brought to you by Nerd Street Gamers. My name's Upmine, joined here by Iso, and of course, we have a massive set going down between Immortals and Sentinels. Immortals, they were looking good coming into today already, but now they're just proving that they deserve to be in the spot that they're in. Sentinels down 1-0 to this team, and right on their map pick, Immortals are finally heating up, but how are things looking going into the second map, Ito?
I mean, win behind the sails for Immortals, if nothing else. I don't really have too much of a sample size to kind of look at Immortals and see how they have been doing on Haven so far with this new roster, but you can't deny the surprise factor that they have, and it is their map pick, so obviously they feel some sort of level of comfort on it. Am I going to decisively say it's going to go one way or the other? No, but Immortals definitely have it in their favor. There was, we got Twitch chat predictions from our producer. I think it was 26% of people predicted Immortals to take Icebox. So the fact that they did it, map pick of Sentinels, it's a massive surprise, and it's great to see. New blood in NA rising up, some from SOR, and they will try to continue onto Haven. I mean, really, with such a new team, you just kind of have to go ahead and see it happen live.
Yeah, absolutely. So going into this next game, we still have high hopes coming in for the team of Immortals, purely because they're coming into this with a 90%, let me say that again, a 90% win rate on Haven. They have only lost once in the past 3 months on this map, but that is with another core. This core is completely different. This is a team that is still building, that is still trying to get themselves a little bit more experience in a sense together. But does that mean that their IGL is off? No. Does that mean that their coach doesn't still have that experience? No. Does that mean that these players aren't fragging? Absolutely not. This Immortals team still has a massive chance going into this game, and still Sentinels, they still have that same core, right? When you compare the two, Sentinels still has very much a very positive rating on this map. So before I mentioned 90% for Immortals, try 87.5, try 14-2. Immortals have only played this map 10 times, Sentinels playing this map out 16 times already. So a little bit more experienced, and their cores staying together is going to help them out a little bit more going into this one, but let's not count out Immortals at all. I mean, why would we? Because I think before I mentioned that the upset to 100 Thieves and Carpe Noctem, those are on two completely different levels. Carpe Noctem was a little bit more of a tier 2 team, maybe even just upper tier 2, I guess you could say, but Immortals has always been at around that tier 1 stage, always playing up against tier 1 opponents. So is it really a surprise that these players are really able to come out really swinging? No, not exactly. But Sentinels, they've been on such a hot streak thus far in this tournament that I was almost expecting them to make it to the grand finals, expecting them to face on against Envy. Now, going over towards the Agent Select, there aren't too many quote-unquote surprises in a sense, as again, Sentinels, they've maintained the exact same agent comp for all 16 games that they've played on Haven, and really it's been the exact same thing for the boys of Immortals. I need to go back on it though, see if anything has changed. It went by a little bit too fast, but this game should be a banger, and I'm here for it.
Hey, there's plenty of tape on how Sentinels like to play this as well. And if you look at the past 4 games for Immortals, all of which were in this qualifier, mind you, they played a number of teams. They played Aqua, Elevate, Big Frames, most notably XSET. Just yesterday, they completely, you know, I'm not going to say demolished, but they had a very strong attacking half against XSET. So the numbers seem good. 100% in their last 4 attempts. The last 4 goes at it on Haven. It seems really good for Immortals. And again, you know, now's the time to practice these new maps, because maybe they weren't the closest wins. It was 13-10 over XSET, but attacking sides are undeniably strong for them. And since they're going to be the ones dictating the pace on this attacking side, you have to have high hopes for them. As we look to start things out here, Immortals immediately just want to burst it up over towards B. Okay, simple as that. Get the spike down, play post plant. Sick will try to punish that with a move out through Garage, but he's only going to find the 1 kill, and he backs out safely.
Dapper?
Numbers traded back, and Dapper is already in for the fight. What in the world is going on here from Sentinels?
It was just confusing for Dapper, but everyone else on Sentinels, they had full control. So at this point, still 2 players from Immortals over towards mid. Nature, he wanted to be on the front line of the impact, purely because, again, he was already a little bit low on HP. And Gangsta on the back line, still focusing on the spike. Still very much well played by the boys of Sentinels. They quickly make their way on, back over towards that B site. Quick retake, quick round. And now for Immortals, they have to maintain themselves on the pistols. As Sentinels, they have the at least the SMGs, which we're looking at a completely different map than Icebox. I was about to say, like, oh, who knows, right? We could see something massive here from Immortals, just like we saw in map 1. But I think the upset potential, at least on the second round conversions, the percentages, or at least the statistics, get a little bit more muddied. So at least for now, Immortals, they could still just try to frag out one by one. But early on, the setup for Sentinels is very much A-based, with fast rotations coming in towards this area.
And fast kills right behind it. Immortals have traded even so far. Great double peek out to try to trade the numbers. And it's doing the trick. This is an eco up mine. And yet they've made it so close. 1v1. It will end with a whimper, not a bang, as Dapper comes out from above with the Ares. Picks up maybe a Bulldog, a side grade if you would, considering apparently how nutty the Ares and how much love we've seen for it just today. Sentinels, they will maintain a 2-0, but at what cost? You're not really going to be able to bonus into this third round as a result. He's just really making sure that player is dead. And Immortals, I mean, they drop another round here, but this is still very far from out of the woods for Sentinels. They will buy up, yes, but Immortals will have guns.
Oh, yeah, no, so they'll have guns, of course, because again, the eco just went down, but let's look at it from the wider scale. With as many kills as Immortals actually ended up getting with that round, yes, they didn't end up winning, but in the end, they might just win the battle, because Sentinels now, they have to rebuy everything. Everything has to be repurchased. This team is going to come out of this as if they're getting reset. So, with Sentinels having to buy up back the SMGs, actually mostly rebuying up rifles to try to fight off Immortals, just as if they were just done with a bonus. So, now Immortals, they win this one out. They're the ones with the momentum. They're the ones with the confidence that can really just tie up this game. And not only that, but an early frag coming in from Nature off of a little bit of a ballsy pick from Zombs, but that was just a good off angle. Still one over towards this site. It's going to be Shazam with a massive kill to start things off with the Bulldog. Still wants to reposition himself over towards Long as Chemicals. He gets himself one. Man advantage now for Immortals as they start to rotate back. There still is awareness over towards the C site with the camera still up. And not only that, but a fast rotation on this site. This could be massive for Sentinels, but they are at a man disadvantage. They have a fighting chance. Sick though, massive flash. Nobody expects it at all. He gets the first pick back. Now has the running back. Still with a flash out, not going to be able to find a kill. Still has a chance in a little bit of time. More damage being taken. The running back is back. Shazam is here to help. Immortals now still down to 2 players. Now there's, again, just trying to maintain the pace with just about 40 seconds left. Although the rotation is good, Immortals maintain the pace.
Such suppressive utility from Sentinels too. Sick bought so much time there and denied Immortals from actually being able to push into the site itself. It's things like that that are going to make the biggest difference when it comes to who's going to snatch away this round, and Sentinels just might do it with this kind of lackluster buy that they put together. They are definitely impressing with it, and right now they have the even tools of the trade. Immortals, they are just being completely collapsed upon. Sentinels, they will extend it into a third. And it was a really good mid-round rotation from Immortals too, but it was single-handedly, it felt like, Sick, who held on so long, really. He had to pop his ultimate for it, only got 1 kill, but he tossed out his flash, he tossed out the flame ult. Everything in his arsenal was used just to buy time. That is exactly how you need to play that sort of situation. Immortals, they'll force up one more time, but it's more of a half buy here. You know, they're going to have enough to buy rifles into this next round, but I still think they keep their heads high here because they're so close to a number of ultimates.
Highly oppressive, but again, Sentinels still trying to put on a little bit of pressure early on to the choke points, but Immortals, they slip on by the defense in a sense. A couple of players out garage, but wow.
Oh, God.
That just gets cleaned up on the C site. 2 players make their way through, and not only that, but Sinatra on the front lines in garage. shuts down the take from Immortals. So again, it was an all or nothing take for Immortals, and nothing ended up working out for them. But now they have the rifles back, and still Sentinels, they're maintaining still very much a round-to-round basis in terms of early positions for their defense. It does look like in some rounds they want to have a random focus in one place. Some rounds they want to be a little bit more balanced. This one is a bit more of a balance. They have a fast rotation, 2, 3 fast rotations, if anything, over back towards the B site, and double coverage of the A choke points. This should be fun.
Fun indeed, but I think Gangsta wants to try to end it before it gets any more scary for Immortals, potentially. Uses that Hunter's Fury right off the rip after tagging somebody with the drone, excuse me. But backs out position before he's able to get hit by it. We'll stay safe for now, Shazam. Look at these rotates. That's all I can keep my eye on here from Sentinels, is that every time there's a little bit of util, they seem to react immediately. And Immortals can play this to their advantage. They haven't dropped the player yet, and it sucks that they lost the Hunter's Fury, but they still have a decent amount of utility in their arsenal. Obviously, the one to note here is, since we're on his POV, is shot up with the double Leer. Gangsta about to have a recon dart online. They're just going to wait out these cooldowns and try to burst up onto A. Pretty reminiscent of what you saw in Icebox. Only a different site, different setting, but potentially the same result.
Oh. Sentinels, they have 3 in the backside in terms of fast rotation, but even then, Immortals, they can't get control of back sites, but they're still getting the frags back. That's wonderful from Shot Up and Gangsta. Still Dapper putting on more damage, but Immortals wins back the site. Sick. Pretty much beaming through the smoke, beaming through garage. Gonna be able to get the kill back. Still Shot Up has to hold on, but Zoms isn't long. JC Stanley still gonna be able to get the plants. Right behind sights, JC Stanley, we've seen him in this position before, and he could certainly do it again. 1v2 for the man, and he has more or less an idea of where these last 2 could be.
Oh, the timing.
The timing. JC Stanley, a massive opportunity, but Sentinels, they shut it down with, again, a very aggressive hold of the C site, because, again, Immortals, they were the ones that really had the first contact on site. There were the ones that ended up crossing kind of that long line right onto site first, so there could have been a little bit of a default plant. The default plant doesn't work. Sentinels, they take the time that really Immortals was taking. Essentially, Immortals was so slow making their way onto the C site. So Sentinels, they have one on the flank. They still have a player in garage. They have triple coverage in the back of C. And with Immortals taking their time, they had nobody really watching that cross. Sentinels had that one covered, but Immortals, because of how slow they went, couldn't exactly control it out, but they still made it count at the very end of things.
Dart. Immortals haven't given up yet. Their money's hurting a little bit. They will have definitely enough for a buy up right here. It's 5-0. You want to hope that they can get their round started soon. Sentinels. Aggro drone through. Will concede that first kill. So that is massive from Immortals. Now you're probably going to see it look a lot like in this last round, only with a bit more of an emphasis towards Garage. But what I want to see them do is keep a player in Garage towards the later stages, because that was something Sentinels were able to abuse in last one, and they're doing it again here. Flash through. Sinatra and Sick will both occupy the area, and Immortals, they watch as the gates just might be open for hell to be unleashed. Gangsta with an amazing kill, though, gets it with the Sheriff. And Immortals improved now to a 5 versus 3. Sentinels, for the first time this game, look surprisingly baffled, lost for words, and unsure of what the answer could possibly be to this question that Immortals have posed.
Cool. I think it's just multiple choice. It's just true or false at this point. And Sentinels, they don't choose the right answer in a sense. They don't want to save. They want to keep continuing that push. But again, their economy has been very good throughout this half anyways. So still continuing on that run is not that big of an issue. But let's run down again that take from Immortals. It's a huge difference from what happened in the last round. Sentinels, they wanted to fight up that take immediately. Right as Immortals thought that they had more, I guess you could say, control of that site, you had the guys of Sentinels fighting up the first contact. Instead, now Immortals, they were more ready for it. They took more or less that same route, except with a little bit more coverage, with a little bit more spread. That formation ended up totally working out in their favor. And not only that, but Sentinels didn't have the right bodies towards that site, or the same amount of manpower as they did before. So good from Immortals. They try what works. It's almost tried and true at this point, because they were still really close to winning out the last round. But now going forward, you have Immortals in more or less a default scenario with a focus over towards mid.
They can continue to keep this one slow. Immortals really trying to eke out a pick because they have gotten such forward positions without having to spare utility. And meanwhile, while that exchange over towards B was happening, there was an exchange of a Sova for a Jet. So, you know, white hair players going down, and white hair players, I guess, still remaining. Interesting trade here because Sentinels now don't really have that dart to rely on, and plant becomes a lot more permissible, as Immortals can't be punished by a crazy shock dart lineup or anything similar to that. Counter smokes will go through as soon as they hear noise from Immortals, but I don't think it's going to be enough to stop the inevitable push through. That's a huge kill for Shot to immediately find. But once again, trades are so strong from Sentinels. They keep the man advantage, even if it is just by a hair or two. There it is. The spike indeed does get planted, and the punishment for it is going to be lackluster, non-existent. Now Immortals need to find this next kill, which they do. Back evened up here. Not mind.
Evened up, shot up on the front lines. Not only that, but the Empress of
That's
Darkness
huge.
is looking to strike, but oh no, he's getting chased. Wonderfully looked out though. He barely escapes that scenario with Dapper and Gangsta, the man who was looking over towards heaven, not even in a crossfire scenario. He ends up helping out his teammates. So there you go, Immortals in what has been their most tense situation yet in terms of a post plant. And this time they end up winning it out. So Sentinels, they're the ones up against the ropes. And Immortals, at least now they have control. We saw this in the first map too. Immortals, they were able to get themselves a couple of rounds back with Sentinels slowly whittling down their economy. That's when Immortals finally ended up exploding. Still a couple of rounds back though, Immortals, but have to face on a buy round next, but they need to maintain themselves clean. They've only just recently started winning and their economy is still building. Let's see what actually happens, though, with Immortals playing this one fairly safe.
Whoa.
Yet another default, but the knives don't end up connecting onto Shut Up, so he's just fine. And the rest of Immortals, they're waiting for Sentinels to really rush towards them.
They can play this time game all they want, Immortals. They have such a good grasp on the fundamentals. It's something I brought up a lot yesterday in their game. Oh, and it seems to still be true right here, too. The communication for Gangsta to peek out in that last round was massive. And this is a pretty, similar approach to how Immortals handled this last round, where they kept Shot Up super aggressive, waiting towards B, if nothing else, to kind of bait out Shazam to just kind of have to hold the line there, forced into position. But it finishes up over towards A once more, and Immortals look similarly as good. Against pistols here, Sentinels don't prove to have the best chance, but once again, the trades from Sinatra and the trades from Sentinel as a whole are just so difficult to play against sometimes. It's unbelievable. But I think once again, Sentinels have managed to almost pull off this upset, at least in this round. They had Stingers to work with, and they might come out on top with Vandals.
Ooh, Shot Up.
Time.
Oh, that wall is going to be huge again. Time for Shot Up as he doesn't even pick up the spike. But again, this is more than lost. Sentinels, they're just delaying so much time as just repositioning away from the back sites. Shot Up has no information at the very end of things, so that is going to be Sentinels back with a round. And again, in Eco of all things, Sully. Ito.
No, it's okay, Tanner. I get your name mixed up.
Okay,
too.
Tanner.
Nah, but that really was such an important round when you look at it, because look how it started. It was a 4v5 in the immediate, but obviously 4v5 for just a moment. Sentinels, I feel like you can always count on them to have very solid trades. It's something that I feel like I consistently need to bring up because it always seems to be ringing true. And around previously that Sentinels put together where there was an execute attempt from Immortals, Sick came around from Garage, was able to exploit it, somehow find a trade beaming through the smoke. It just always seems to be a prophecy that comes true. Immortals down, but most definitely not out in this half. 6-6 is way more possible than I think anyone could truly believe, considering they head into this round with everything that they can muster. You have to keep your heads high. Immortals, they did it on Icebox. Let's see if they can do it on Haven as well. There's actually a push through from a drone. Sick backs off at the last moment. That's such a good move. You can't extend out through. Immortals, they were looking to punish it, but they don't get anything for free.
Yeah, no, still double coverage over towards mid for the Immortals team, but oh, this could be off time.
So good.
But Chemicals does get it onto 6, so there you go. That's at least an opening back, but still barely any information in a sense. But Gangsta, he might have just single-handedly opened up that C site, or if anything, gotten up some noise. Instead, now Immortals, they're still putting onto that A site. And look at this off position. Wait a minute. It's a one-and-done position, of course, but Zoms might only need one. There's nobody else over towards long. He's going to readjust. Shazam is here on the rotation. Of course, the plant will be able to go down, but Zoms is still over towards long. They need at least some sort of coverage, and the two-man advantage for Immortals has evaporated. Oh no, wait, Chemicals. Chemicals. He's about to flank on both players. Gonna be able to get one, make it 2. Massive for Chemicals. But Zoms, the man who was in the one and done, he's not exactly done just yet. Making his way up long. Chemicals trying to get the frag, but a headshot onto him. That's massive for the damage. That's massive for the round, especially if Zoms can get this last one. But there you go. Immortals, right after their economy might have just been taken down in a little bit of a miracle from Sentinels. Immortals takes one back, and they want to maintain things even.
This is why you can never count Immortals out as well. It's a lesson that I've started to learn with this new roster. Mental resilience is something that we talked about Sentinels having down pat on Icebox. But Immortals are now kind of showing them up. Sentinels, they will scrap together another buy here, but the Knives play, Chemicals was undeniably huge there. Can you believe this man previously played Sentinels? Well, the actual role, not the team. Like, he has transitioned so well over to Jet, where he looks right at home. Massive Blade Storm will eventually allow Immortals to storm and take a site, take the round, and move up to 3. At 6-6, again, doesn't seem unreasonable at this point, but Sentinels have now adjusted their setup. They've kept Zoms all the way out, lurked towards A long, and they have entrusted him to hold down the site solo. And Immortals will once again spread out their wings, play this default. They have absolutely zero reason not to. It has been probably their best bet so far to find the 3 rounds that they've gotten in their favor, and it might once again work out.
Still double coverage of the A site. This time, it isn't stricken out by at least a fat rotation early on, but there you go. It is going to be actually a double for Sick. Oh my! This time, Chemicals takes one back, but Sinatra with a Hunter's Fury early on takes down Chemicals, and now Immortals. Barely any space to make their way through, and not only that, but shut up, getting ticked down. 30 seconds left. These players, the best thing that they can do is essentially just back on away. There's a player up in short that's about to get the peek, and Sick, what a round! The off angle and long, it ends up leading to a 3K for him already, but there's still one more for him to aim on to. Make it a 4th for Sick. Sentinels now. They put themselves a little bit more in the driver's seat as Immortals. They can't seem to really get any wiggle room. No cushion.
Just an eco one by Sentinels has to sting so much after that lovely one that you just pulled off, poached earlier. Immortals, once again, go back to the doom and gloom. Do they have a buy together? Yes, they do, but they do have to take a couple of hits. Nature with half armor and JC Stanley instead going for the Stinger full armor. Again, it's a gamble that they're taking here. Impress me once, do it again. That's the start you want, and the start that you absolutely need. Zoms is not nearly going to have the space or positioning to try to at least relay some information to his team. At least Shazam makes up for it, though, beaming one through the smoke. But we have ourselves another really weird situation here where it's going to be a 4v4 post plant. So much utility still in play.
So much utility, but even then, Immortals, they have the positions right for it. There you go. Double dink onto Shazam, but there's still an explosion out from Dapper and Sinatra. Chemicals is there, though, with a double. Now in comes Sinatra just jumping on in. Oh my! Both Chemicals and Sinatra, they end up getting completely thrown off by each other. But Chemicals, what a finish to the round. I mean, he's the new blood, right? Coming into this squad, he needed to absolutely explode to really open some eyes. And with a 13 kill performance thus far in this game, and not only that, but with rounds like that, this guy is absolutely stellar. Still 16 on the other side for Sick, Gangsta on top of 13 at the moment. And Immortals, with rounds like those, you can trust that this team can still knock Sentinels down a peg going into the defensive half.
Final round of the half here. And I think while an ultimate orb won't make the difference between immediately getting an ultimate orb or not, but the ultimate orb plus a kill suddenly have a little bit more tools to play with for this final one. Immortals, there it is, fighting for it. Oh, never mind, I was actually only 1 point away for Chemicals. Insane past couple of rounds this man has had. Another quick play, this time towards C, is going to be the setting, or is it? They're backing off. Playing Sentinels once again like a fiddle. Rotations will be tossed into a state of chaos. What is Immortals' next move here? Because while they do have this Blade Storm to play with, what else do they exactly have that immediately will be useful for them? Dark covers, obviously, are the ones that you want to point out, but you have to imagine the counterplay from someone like Shazam is going to be big. Previously on Icebox, he moved right past the smoke that went down. He went ahead and made that round for himself. Re-exec C, I suppose it's going to be up mind.
Oh, absolutely. And looks like Sentinels, they're ready for it in terms of manpower. And Sick, more importantly, that's a 3K farm. Making up fourth. One more remaining along. Sick can get the ice, but Gangsta, such a sticky scenario. And he is not done yet. Okay, even the shock dart's not going to take him down. 14 HP left on Gangsta. He has the classic out. Everyone else is jumping. Sentinels, again, the way that they played that round, super patient to what would be the Immortals contact. It ended up coming down to what would be Immortals. They ended up contemplating the double back. They abandoned the long area. Sentinels, they get a little bit more comfortable, and that could have actually led them to kind of rotate around a little bit more. But instead, they maintained the players on site. And of course, one of the most pivotal players in this game and in this tournament overall thus far, Sick, pops off once again, 4 kills under his belt. And by the time the half ends, he has a 20 bomb.
Jeez. Well-deserved 20 bomb at that. Sentinels will go up 8-4, doubling the point stat of which Immortals have in their favor. Not only is it just 20 kills, but it's the fashion in which he's gotten some of those kills. Massive multi-frag rounds to hold down a site individually. That round right there is just one of apparently many examples. But now having to move on to offense here, it's not the best half Immortals could have posted, but once again, this is their map pick. Surely they have something spicy planned, even if it didn't go their way in the first part. All quiet for now. Immortals, very passive positions opted up here as they've gambled majority of their players over towards A. They'll take a hit and play again. Retake, mostly on every site that isn't called A.
Oh, watch out. Shot up, though, might just get flanked on, and indeed he does. Dapper gets the kill, and, well, now Immortals with 3 players left now for this retake. It's definitely quite difficult because you still have that camera up getting all that information. If I'm not mistaken, they still ended up spotting out 2 players in that backlines, if not all 3. And indeed, I mean, even the Jet, who's staying around alongside, even Shazam, he's going to go back all the way over towards Garage. That's all that info being covered up. Even the recon dart is going to ping them once again. But in goes the take. Chemicals wants to push things out. Gangsta now in a 1v3. He ends up getting the 2 kills. So Gangsta going big for a second there. But even then, Sentinels maintaining 2 players alive at the end of things. And again, just the information battle and a little bit scattered of a take over on to C. It made things worth it for them. They win out the pistol round and they find themselves with the SMGs as Immortals. They want to find some sort of way back into this half, but they're certainly not going to start things off here with the firepower.
In this round previously, or in this time previously, I think Sentinels forced up second round. I know we were talking about Icebox, but for this one, they're sticking with the pistols all the way across. So a third round big buy is more than likely what we're going to be looking at here. In fact, almost entirely likely, unless this shorty can prove to be lethal. Good smoke too to try to help Chemicals get out, but it's such a just well-placed molly where there's just no option to get out for free.
Nature!
What the hell, Nature?
There you go!
A freak of nature, dude!
Absolutely!
How can you just do that?
I mean, you gotta be joking me with that one. So Nature, again, he ends up catching one player who is still checking his angles. And not only that, but the double right clicks work on his favor.
No way!
Kingston now with another one. Still around the corner. Shazam has a whole lot of HP. Nature has to back on out. He has full control of the spike. 50 seconds left. More than enough time for Shazam to really reapproach this one. But Nature, again, like I mentioned before, this impact fragger, this new blood, this absolute legend could definitely pull it off. Spots a pixel right below the smoke, but now the spike will be able to get taken off that cage from Nature. And no rotation either. Shazam is gonna go for this, but it's not planted for him. Not planted for Nature, at least.
Oh, they're gonna fight long? Oh no, he's doubling back.
Nature was gonna fight up long, still thinking about it. Again, Shazam, one bullet will do it. A gust of wind will do it. And Nature is gonna get taken down, but great stuff from Nature, still holding up that front line. And we get back to that same exact position from the first half, Ito, where the second round conversion isn't exactly what it seemed to be for Sentinels. Everyone on this team ends up going down except for Shazam. It ends up coming down to a reinvestment now in this round, and their economy is getting whittled down. Immortals, they now have a massive chance to get some rounds back into this game.
It's absolutely just that. Immortals, for a round that was in a 3v5 almost immediately, somehow just summoned a bolt of lightning to strike Sentinels down with a couple of players. I don't know. Again, some freak Nature incident. I can't even understand how his classic does that and mine doesn't. But Sentinels realize what they're going to be up against here. Sure, they're both even on rifles, but that means that they're just going to try to push in immediately, fight blood for blood, fire with fire, and try to get it done right here. You don't want to have this be as even as you can, but once again, Immortals show up with the theatrics as they pull off 4 kills in the matter of seconds.
There you go.
5 to finish it up. Immortals, they move on to 5. And despite Sentinels trying to change the pace, Immortals, they just shut them up and move to just about half of what Sentinels have.
I think it's exactly half, too. I know I wasn't the best at math, but 10-5, that seems like half to me. Sentinels.
Good algebra.
Sentinels now. I mean, they have a stellar lead, to say the least, but Immortals, this is what they've been building towards really this entire game. Still tagging on really these close rounds again and again, but it's really Sentinels that keep charging back at them in terms of the round streaks. Now it's Immortals that finally have Sentinels up against the ropes in terms of economy, but they need to absolutely execute. They need to maintain this healthy. It's almost exactly the same mentality that you need to have from the last round if you're Immortals. Because Sentinels now, I mean, they're the ones on the pistols. They're the ones that can do the economic damage. Now let's see what can happen now. Shazam still on the front lines. Could get taken down before the spike goes down, but no, it doesn't. Instead, now Chemicals on the front lines. Has control of sight. Sentinels, they're all abandoned over towards mid. That Hunter's Fury doesn't do all too much, but instead now it's Sick on the front lines trying to hold things out, and that's going to be the defuse. Chemicals gets the kill onto Sinatra, and now it's just exit frags. Indeed it is. Sinatra, Zombs, Dapper, they're all getting kills. So that one just turned awry really at the very end of things. Immortals, instead of being absolutely flawless, within 5 seconds of the round ending, Sentinels actually turns this very possible for themselves. Immortals, look at their economy. It's not too great between Shut Up, Nature, and JC Stanny.
It doesn't really mean all too much for this round particularly, but if Sentinels win this, I mean, does it? They still have money in... Oh,
it means a lot. Because, well, first of all, Sentinels, they're the ones that need to win. Absolutely. Because they're about to get reset too.
I mean, more so, I guess, on the buy reflected, but yeah, the ramifications of it are undeniable. At least both teams have a healthy buy. I suppose that's what it really comes down to. But yeah, I mean, a pivotal round. Something we've said previously, and something I'm going to say again, because that is a pivotal frag. It puts it right square in front of Immortals. Sentinels are saying, come and get it.
6 still. So 2 of his teammates trying to perch up on that A site again. It's actually a 3-man crossfire of the sites. Sick would have to hard clear right side, and indeed he does, but JC Stanny gonna be able to get the kill.
Huge.
Again, that's massive for Immortals. So not only do they have the 2-man advantage, but now Spike is all theirs. The rotations are going to start to come in back over towards from the B site and the C sites with just about 30 seconds left. There's not much that Sentinels can really pull, but they certainly tried. Dapper emerges from the short area, and he goes down. Sinatra and Long could have been able to get the kill onto Shot Up, but Shot Up wins the aim battle instead. Now Zombs now in a 1v5, and Nature gets it. Flawless run for Immortals. If I said before that the economic damage could certainly come in now for the long run, well, they maintain it flawless. Everyone maintains the rifles. Sentinels, well, it's down to the SMGs. This is essentially a bonus round for the boys of Immortals.
Yeah, and this is where it really reflects badly. Sentinels in such a tough position right now. They don't have even any more ultimates to make things more palatable. Even if they were put in a great situation, I mean, they're going to have to hope to get it done with stingers. Immortals, now they're looking just to pad their economy a bit more. Keep this one as clean as you possibly can. Don't take any unnecessary fights, which is something that Immortals, mind you, are very, very good at. There's been a couple of scary instances where Chemicals has pushed into smokes, but he has done it with such poise, and it's so calculated, and he was almost thinking about doing it again. Actually, it was JC Stanley who was thinking about doing it again, but just layers upon layers of executes and frags. Immortals stay strong in this round. Sentinels on the back foot.
Sentinels on the back foot. Zom still certainly getting a whole lot of damage over towards the mid side. Zoms, if he certainly wanted to, could get a little bit of a spam, and indeed he does, but it's a little bit off put. Instead, he's going to be Gangsta at the end with a kill onto Zoms. Only 2 frags going back for Sentinels. And again, that approach from Sentinels, it was, again, yet another one of those gambles that you usually see in those eco rounds anyways, where they just try to put all of their effort over towards one spot. Still tried to spread around a little bit for some off-angle kills, and it certainly did work to an extent. But now Immortals, they have to face on what would be their hardest challenge yet, with Sentinels really trying to get them their way back into this game with the rifles. And really early on, Immortals, they were about to do a little bit more of a stack over towards the B/C area, but instead it's actually going to be split util coming in from the Cypher.
Interesting split, but they're covering all their bases here. They don't want B to be threatened early, so a tripwire there will at least give them some information if it does get eventually overtaken. Just a couple of seconds can make all the difference. Immortals have definitely shown how to hold down B. Just, again, player after player flooding in, seemingly finding, if only one kill for their trouble. It's a numbers game that Immortals can play.
Yeah.
Sentinels have to respect it, and they have to respect this space that Immortals have fought for really hard. Chemicals, he was holding down the line with the operator over towards A-Long. He won't get any action for now. It's going to be Shot Up who sees the majority of the action, but he'll back up. Again, no unnecessary fights necessary. Sentinels, I mean, for now at least, they get a lot of free map control. This is about the time where Immortals start to strike.
Oh, JC Stanley getting banged out by the shock darts, but even then, there's still attention for Immortals for the retake back. There you go, Shot Up off the Empress. Gonna be able to get 2, make it 3. Oh. No, Sick gets it back. Still looking over towards the smoke. Chemicals with the up drop gets 1. No, it's Zoms. Oh, there you go. Zoms, after Immortals gets on an absolute streak of rounds, goes for a wide swing and catches both players totally off guard. Chemicals tried his hardest. Same thing with their teammate, just running out, still just trying to gun their way back on site. They had a man disadvantage, then turned it into an advantage. But at this point, Sentinels, they still have a chance to just close out this game. Immortal still has the economy to counteract, though.
They'll piece together another full Vandal buy, but this is the pinnacle of gun rounds right here. How important this is. Sentinels quite obviously want to try to fight, get match point right here before it gets any bit more scary, any bit more dicey for them. This initial frag could really decide everything. Chemicals is playing with fire here, playing with dangerous chemicals if you would, but it's a fight. He feels at least somewhat justified in taking. He goes down to very low HP, and that will prompt Sick to push in with his run it back. Gets 1 kill, and that is going to be the finish on the Chemicals. And there it is, appearing in the kill feed over and over. It will be Sentinels. There is a bit of a strike back from Shot Up, who gets 2. The round's not done yet. Immortals still have some fight in them yet.
Gangsta needed that shock dart. At least an opportunity for at least a little bit of damage through that smoke, but now it's a little bit tighter because Sick now has a very optimal angle off of a crossfire too in hell. Not only that, but there's a player just focused up on heaven. Dapper waiting up for a dart, but instead it is going to be Gangsta that comes out. And that's the round. Sentinels now have map point here on Haven because, I mean, man, Immortals, I mean, that was really their first real streak of rounds thus far in this game, and they really made it count. Sentinels, they needed quite the clutch to make their way back, but now they look quite organized because that A take was as swift as you can get.
It absolutely was. The run it back was used at the perfect time to really force Chemicals into basically an unwinnable situation. He dashed out there. That was a safe move, but they eked him out, and then they took out his escape route too, excuse me. And then just a flurry of smokes just to make things more difficult for everybody who wanted to at least have some sort of semblance of hope to trade him through. Immortals definitely down, but not out. They'll piece together everything they can here, and a very aggressive camera is actually really unique from nature. I don't feel like I've seen this one for a while, but it is good. It does spot out and get the dart onto one. And how do Sentinels respond to this? They still group up. Is this going to be another quick plant for them? It doesn't seem like it. They realize that, hey, this is usually the cue for Immortals to start pushing through, and this is usually when they find a couple of free frags. So they'll bring it towards C, and this will be a lot more of a palatable situation for them, because they only allow Gangsta to find one, and they're able to take fights at their own volition. Maybe JC Stanny has something to say about it, Upmind.
Oh, certainly so. Still up on the front lines. It's actually going to be Nature with that first, or at least with that first drop. Now 3-on-2 for Sentinels. They turn a man disadvantage to an advantage, but now in comes shot out with a frag. He's going to be able to dismiss, but Sinatra gets the kill back. Make it a third for Sinatra. So there you go. Immortals with a tall task and really catching up some steam. Sentinels, they shut them down in the end, and they make this set 1-1. We got a map 3.
Well deserved as well from Sentinels. Really great mental fortitude there. And, you know, Immortals gave it a really great shot. They had at least a lot of the right decisions. I love the way that they hold B, quite honestly. And even that unique approach that they tried in the last round as well, you can tell they kind of already conditioned Sentinels into being afraid of executing B, because they knew, you know, with smoke there's fire. And every single time that there's at least one person present at B, the rotates quickly come flooding in to deny a plant. But at the end of the day, each team steal each other's map pick. And so it will crumble down onto map number 3 here, and I can't think of it anything else but a possible banger. Icebox delivered, Haven definitely delivered in a number of rounds. You can only imagine what map number 3 is going to bring.
Oh, I'm so ready. Map number 3, at least at this point, Ascent, these two teams have a whole lot of experience on it. But on Haven, again, I gotta go back to it. Immortals, they had a 90% win rate going into this map, and that had just been shut down by Sentinels. But I mean, Sentinels too, that is one of their main maps to play, and really seeing both of these teams take away each other's map picks in such close fashion. Well, I'm ready for a map 3. You guys should be too. Ladies and gentlemen, map 3, Ascent, will be live in just a few moments between Immortals and Sentinels to close out the semifinals here of Valorant Challengers #1. We'll be right back.
What sound experience would you like today?
I'll have the fantasy pack.
Good choice.
And could you make it a Cloud 2 wireless?
On his way, sir.
Sounds amazing.
I feel like I need to defend my scene's honor here, because this is just turning into a bit of a dogpile.
Like in groups always look.
I'm cutting you off here. I'm cutting you off. Cutting you off. He said G2's winning it. He said G2's winning it.
We need to wait till the next EU tournament, which could be in about 10 years now.
Take it with like a grain of salt.
No,
but
that's
that
no
being
fun.
said,
Take it super literally.
Spike defused.